We're going to talk about this statue that was unveiled in Boston. I think this was like 2 days ago. So for those who are not aware, there is a new statue on Boston Common. This statue is supposed to represent Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his wife, Coretta Scott King. Unfortunately, when most people look at the statue, they have no idea what the hell they're looking at. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. Now, let me start off with the tweet that I posted here, because I tweeted about this. And I said, gee, I know the design came from a photo of MLK and Coretta hugging each other, but why not have a sculpture of their faces instead? We see Paul Revere's face in 2 locations, yet for MLK, we get arms. I live here and I'm honestly disappointed. Boston. Now, let me show you what I am referring to. So this post, this was tweeted by Amaka Ubaka. She is a local reporter here in Boston. So she posted the unveiling and she said, breaking, the bronze sculpture called The Embrace, honoring Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King, has been unveiled on the Boston Common. Let's take a look at the unveiling here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I really thought this was going to be something, but it turned out to be one big confusion. Here we go. I will pause it here. Now, I'm sorry, but what is that? What is it? Is it a sausage? Now, that's one angle of the statue, just one angle. Okay. Now, she realized that people had no idea what the hell this was supposed to be. And you can tell that because she posted another tweet underneath this one and said, please read my other tweets about the sculpture. But here is another angle in the photo of the two for the embrace it's based on. It's when MLK Jr. found out he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. So here's another angle. Let me pause it. Let's make this bigger for the peeps. So here's the photo on the left of MLK and his wife, Coretta Scott King, hugging each other. All right, let's look at it from a different angle. What does this look? What is this? What is it? You know, I don't know. Are these legs? There are some things that people said that I can't say on here what they thought it was, but I'm sure if you use your imagination, you can go there. But you shouldn't have to guess what it is. And I think this is the problem that a lot of people have. For one, the fact that she had to post the picture so you know what it is. When you're looking at the sculpture, does that say MLK to you? Does that say civil rights movement? Does that say Coretta Scott King? No. If you don't have the picture next to the statue, you don't even know what this is. That's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you look at the comments, geez Louise. Let's get into the comments. This gentleman here, Aaron James Butler, says it looks like a turd. Sorry, you couldn't find a real artist. Vince said, did a blind guy create this mess? Rachel, unless you've seen that picture, you would not understand. It's an awful selection to memorialize the two of them, period. By the way, the backlash is coming from Black people and white people, just to make that very clear. I'm not even going to say what this one is, but you get the point. People are confused. Don said, couldn't they afford the whole thing? The great U.S. treasure hunt said this is worse than the portrait where Obama is fading into the ivy. Really embarrassing. Valeria says, I remember when MLK had a face. See, Sipo says, I saw something entirely different. I'm ashamed. And this is, you go through the comments. This is what you see. This is what you see. The Crusade channel. It doesn't matter what angle you look at. This is garbage. The comments are awful. Now, we'll go back to my retweet because I added on something else here. I said the statue was whack. And depending on where you're standing, you don't know what this is. How do you leave MLK's face off the damn statue? Paul Revere has a face. WTF. By the way, there are two Paul Revere statues in Boston. There's one in the North End neighborhood, and there's one at the Public Garden, which is also connected to the Boston Common. Both have a face. So it's just, I'll go on, because I was really livid about this. I was not having it. Let me see where else I said. People were saying the same thing too. It's awful, Sabby. What a waste. When if it had been MLK embracing Coretta, it would have been so beautiful. Let me go back because I want to show you another comment that I said here. I just got to come out of here. Here's another comparison. Ferocious said MLK should have rode a horse. Like, this is a hot mess. Look, so I made a comparison here to the MLK statue in DC, which I have seen in person. Now, some people complain, well, that statue isn't great either. It has his face, though. Do you see the difference? I said, big difference here. DC statue versus Boston statue. And this is the picture that you see on the thumbnail. It says, I have a dream. And there's the MLK statue in DC. And then if you come down to the bottom left, it says, I have a nightmare. And then you see the Boston statue. And so this is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what angle you are looking at this statue from. Right here, it looks like a big fat, you know what I'm about to say. It looks like someone's hands are holding a big fat schlong. So many people have said this. What is this supposed to be? You shouldn't even have to guess. You shouldn't have to ask. That's the problem. So this gentleman here told me, or this woman told me, Lori said the artist doesn't do faces. Hands are his thing. Well, I said the city should have hired a different artist. What is it? What is it? Now let's go back because I posted, there was something else I put here too. I think I even commented on the one that Amaka Ubaka had because I was like, what is this? Or maybe that was the only one I did. And I'm not an artist by any means necessary. And I appreciate art. But I feel like when you're trying to represent someone, MLK, let me tell you, you need to make it so that people know that it's supposed to be MLK. And this goes to a longer list of things. It's not even just about the statue. It's other things that go along with it when you think about some of the racial issues that we've had here in Boston. The fact how Black people are pretty much marginalized in the city or considered secondary in the city. And it's just, to me, you have to understand what MLK means to the city of Boston. MLK went to Boston University, for people who don't know. He studied here. If you go to BU, right outside of the theology school, they have a picture. They have one of those columns that says Boston University, and it has a picture of MLK, and it talks about the time that he spent at Boston University. So it's just, no. So it's just, to me, again, this is not to hate on the artist. I know how to appreciate art. But this is to hate on the fact that they didn't even take the time, and by they, I mean the city. They didn't even take the time to find an artist that could do a face. Let's just do the arms and the hands. Nobody knows what that is, bruh. Nobody knows. Now, Seneca Scott talked about this as well. Now, this article was written yesterday. Let me tell you what Seneca Scott said. Let's get into it. Seneca said, a masturbatory homage to my family. By now, I'm sure you've seen it. The new Boston sculpture honoring Dr. Martin Luther King and his wife, Coretta Scott King, looks more like a pair of hands hugging a beefy penis than a special moment shared by the iconic couple. Look at it. Created by the organization Embrace Boston, the sculpture has inspired mad jokes on Twitter, and rightly so. But for my family, it's rather insulting. You see, Coretta was my first cousin, my grandfather's niece, and the daughter of my great uncle, Obadiah Scott. Martin married up. Coretta came from a distinguished family with a significant legacy in her own right. There is a reason she kept the Scott name. This is something, by the way, a lot of people may not be aware of, why she kept her name. Make this a little bit bigger for the people in the back. Here we go. Martin knew what he was doing when he pursued her, signaling intentions to marry from the outset. After his assassination, Coretta created a legacy of her own, fighting for healthcare workers and against apartheid in South Africa. $10 million were wasted to create a masturbatory metal homage to my legendary family members, one of the all-time greatest American families. Now let's pause here and highlight $10 million. Here's another part of the problem. They actually spent $10 million on a statue that most people, based on the comments, have no idea what it is, to honor Dr. King. That's right, SG, $10 million. They could have taken that $10 million and invested it in Black neighborhoods in Boston instead. They could have taken that $10 million and invested it in the schools in Roxbury, the southern part of Dorchester, Mattapan, parts of JP. They could have taken that money and did something like that. They could have taken that money and actually created real affordable housing for people in Boston in those neighborhoods, not the type that's privatized. But no, this is where the city makes these dumb mistakes. Take that back. This is where the city makes dumb decisions. When people say, don't come to me and say this is a poor city, because it's not a poor city. If you have $10 million to spend on art, you have $10 million to invest in those Black neighborhoods. That actually would have been more significant than a statue. But you know, they got a virtue signal. See, Boston is appreciative towards Black people. We have a statue of MLK without his head on it that nobody knows what the hell it is. Let's go on. Still, the Boston debacle could be a blessing in disguise by exposing the insidiousness of astroturf woke movements that have come to dominate Black America. How could anyone fail to see that this was a major dick move, pun intended, that brings very few, if any, tangible benefits to struggling Black families? Consider this our declaration of interdependence, declares the Embrace Boston website. What does that even mean? Black families in America who need help don't care for more woke slogans. They need jobs that pay the bills and keep up with food and energy costs that are rising faster than ever before for most of us. By the way, my sister just informed me earlier today that her electric bill was over $400. She lives in an apartment. Let's go on. Building expensive, stupid new statues with no faces on them. and tearing down others for no good reason, a part of the same performative altruism and purity pageants that are mainstays of the woke left. So now Boston has a big bronze penis statue that's supposed to represent Black love at its purest and most devotional. This is no accident. The woke algorithm is racist and classist. Therefore, its programming will always produce things that harm Black people and poor people. This sculpture is especially egregious example of the woke machine's callousness and vanity. Hopefully, it will show more Black people that these progressives just aren't in this for our benefit. And this right here is actually a real critique of some of the problems that we have on the left. This doesn't really do anything for Black communities. At the same time, mind you, we have the city arguing over whether or not to change the name of Faneuil Hall because they found out it appears Mr. Faneuil may have been a slave owner. They're arguing over things like that instead of saying, let's try to find ways to help Black people in these neighborhoods. Let's fix those schools in Roxbury and Dorchester so the kids don't have to hope and pray that they get a part of the educational lottery so that they can get on a bus and go to Newton and go to the good schools. Why aren't they fighting over that? Yeah, it's an image thing for them here. It really is. So you found out Faneuil may have been a slave owner. Welcome to America. How does changing the name of Faneuil Hall improve things for Black communities in Boston? It does not. So you can walk by Faneuil Hall and you can see a different name if they decide to choose to change it. But when you get back on the T, when you get back on that bus and you go back to your neighborhood, the things remain the same. This is the virtue signaling that they do to Black people in this city and in other cities. Tomorrow is MLK Day. And tomorrow you're going to hear a lot of speeches on TV. Some from celebrities, some from reporters, some from scholars. They say the same things all the time, every year. There will be public programming about MLK tomorrow, how we should honor his dream and his vision and how far this country has come. But what you will not see is those same people fighting for and pushing for changes and improvements in Black communities to make their lives better. You will not see those people fighting for and asking for some type of wealth equality in this country so that Black people can be on the same level as white people when it comes to wealth opportunity. You won't hear them talking about that. What you will see tomorrow is a lot of virtue signaling, just like that ugly ass statue on the Boston Common that no one even knows what it is. Yes, DC has the statue too. But at least when you go to DC, you know what you're looking at. I'm going to go to some of the comments here in the chat. Deneen says that sculpture is but ugly. LB, the MLK statue is cringe. Rick says that statue, good Lord, I thought it was a joke. John, OMG, so disrespectful. Cryosynth, it looks like a sausage. Zombie in the air. LMAO, I see what you mean now, Sabby. M. Smith, it's ugly, I'm sorry. The Jammin', what? The Court of Public Opinion, bruh, just turned on and was like, what the F is this? Steven, what the F is that? Alexander, melt it and try again. Mastermind. This is one person that does not have the right to bear arms. Mastermind's coming with the jokes. Mousy says graffiti would help. One of the things that people pointed out on Twitter is that, well, maybe they felt if they put up his face, then it would be vandalized. You think this isn't going to be vandalized? What is wrong with people? The Oracle, how did this design make it through the selection process? That's exactly what I want to know. Mayor Wu has the answer for this one. What the hell were they thinking? Thank you for the super chat, M. Smith. It's like there's an understanding that anything representing Black people must show us in an unattractive light. There you go. Thank you for the super chat, Andrew. Even if hands are the artist's thing, don't have them hold that. Literally anything other than that. Yeah. The Oracle says, of course, this nation would have a problem depicting the gentle affection between its one certain prophet and his wife. Deneen, you know they're not going to do that. Empty symbolism only for us. Thank you for the super chat, Meteor Dreams. It seems like it was done on purpose, to be honest. Thank you for the super chat, Miss. That statue's meant to demoralize. You shouldn't have to sit here and guess what it's supposed to be. That's how you honor Dr. King and his wife. What a joke. Stephen, it looks like a still of aliens. I love Dr. King, and this insults his message and work, and Mrs. Scott's too. I 100% agree. Next tunes. I'm so sorry this is happening to the Black community. It's like they want to erase MLK in plain sight. You couldn't even put his face on the statue. There has been a problem for a while in Boston where it's like I said, Black people are marginalized here. Black culture has been slowly erased over the years because of gentrification. And then when there's opportunities to highlight it, this is what they do. You can go to the North End, which was once the Italian neighborhood in Boston. You can go to the North End and you can see a statue of Tony. I believe his last name is Marciano. You can see a statue of Tony, who was a famous Italian boxer. You see that as soon as you enter the North End, it's the first thing you see. Tony's face is on the statue. As you walk down Hanover Street and you go towards the Elliott School in the North End, there's a statue of Paul Revere. You see Paul's face on the statue. If you go to the Boston Common and walk on the other side to where the public garden is located, that's where the swan boats are if you guys have ever been here as a tourist. There's another statue of Paul Revere, and his face is on the statue. But when it comes time for you to make a statue of MLK, you can't put his face on the statue? What the hell were you guys thinking? And you wonder why Black people feel the way that they do in this city. That's my take on that.